Hello, and welcome to the Father and Son Formula One podcast. I nearly said Formula One F1 podcast, that wouldn't have worked. After all the pre-season testing and the shakedown runs, we actually have seen competitive, no sandbagging, let's go as fast as we can, on-track action to actually get, for the first time ever, an idea of where all the cars sit. This is about the Australia Grand Prix, I have to say.
Yeah.
Which is the traditional season opener, and it's one of those weird ones because we had to wake up at was it 5 in the morning for qualifying and 4 for the race?
Yes.
But on the other hand, I mean, for me, qualifying is the first actually competitive. You know, nobody's messing about; they're actually trying to go as fast as they can.
Yeah.
So, for me, it was worth waking up even for the qualifying. I mean, the free practices. To be fair to Now TV, they kind of replayed them almost on a loop throughout the day, so...
Yeah, because it was also like midnight.
Yeah.
Or whenever it was.
Yeah, it was quite kind of rough, but it was worth it to actually see some.
See, the first competitive laps.
Yeah, that's
genuinely competitive of the season.
I'm actually looking back through the results of the free practice, and... the Ferraris did really well in free practice.
Yeah. First and second. And then... fourth and fifth.
I'll tell you the other thing that struck me about all the sessions we saw. Because the last year's regs have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
We're used to really tight qualifying sessions.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying last year, it was down to a single tenth of a second sometimes.
Yeah.
In every qualifying session. Just because of how developed the regulations were and how much everybody had found the right path.
Yeah, they'd kind of optimised, hadn't they?
Yeah, it's not quite the same anymore. Nearly 5 seconds between pole and the last finisher of qualifying.
Well, you say that, but a whole second between first and sixth, easily.
Yeah. It was quite tight between there were tight points, but yeah, as people were saying, the Mercedes is hilariously faster than everybody else. Again.
Which they kind of predicted due to the funny engine high
compression ratio.
Yeah, which apparently it's impossible. It's only possible to do because they use 3D printing.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know who knows, but the channels they've got inside the piston, you can't actually machine them. So you can't cast a solid lump of titanium weird alloy and then machine out the holes. It's like a kind of physics problem almost, or topology, that's the word.
Yeah, but it's technology, isn't it? It's what Formula One is.
Yeah.
They've found the best, technological solution to a problem, and they've applied it, and they're winning, so...
Yeah, and I think the main thing the other teams are annoyed about is they didn't think of it first.
Yeah.
I'm flicking... I actually don't think the three free practice sessions were particularly representative.
No.
I think it was kind of an extension of the Bahrain test, because...
Well, you've got sort of broad strokes. It's always going to be Mercedes, Ferrari, and now it's McLaren at the top. That's what I'm seeing in the practice, it's those three teams, Red Bull as well, up at the top, with, once or twice Audi or someone will get up there as well, but...
It's interesting to see that so far Hadjar is actually doing his job. He's proving to be an able wingman for
Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not been... Well, we can only technically talk about Australia, even though we've had one session of China already.
Yeah, we have to admit we're recording this on Friday morning, so we have seen sprint qualifying for China, but we're going to try and keep our minds focused on Australia and not
Yeah.
not give us spoilers.
Do we want to just go into the qualifying then properly?
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and weirdly, I'm going to have to do some mental arithmetic here, because the official list only lists 19 cars qualified out of 22.
Yes.
Now, a weird thing happened. Max went out on the very first. I think he was doing a establishment lap before a hot lap, wasn't he?
I thought it was his first hot lap, but...
Oh, either way, he rear axle locked and he just whacked it into the barriers, and he didn't complete a timed lap at all.
Yeah.
Both Cadillacs did it.
Yeah, both Cadillacs
we're
finished the session, which is good.
But he didn't record a time. We're missing Lance Stroll as well because the Aston Martin has had awful problems.
So it was Verstappen and Stroll. So who's this third one that's missing then?
Carlos Sainz.
Oh yeah, he just never got out of the garage.
Yeah.
That's just like, I guess that's just like a parts problem or something from Williams.
Yeah, I mean, Williams apparently have a very overweight car, which I think they did last year as well.
Yeah, it seems like they've dropped back a bit because Albon was only 15th.
Yeah, and they were best of the rest last year, so they really have dropped back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is the other side of the whole new regulations. Bizarrely, and I mean, Verstappen just said, "I've never felt anything like it before." I think he went to brake, and it just locked up. The whole rear axle just locked solid, and they just spun out.
Yeah.
No idea what was going on there.
No.
I mean, he had no... Because when they brake, it's like a modern car now. It's not like in an old car like I'm used to playing with. You brake and you compress brake fluid and the cylinders on the wheels move and the wheels slow down. But now a computer would analyse how much you're pressing the brake pedal, how much you need to slow down, how empty the batteries are, how much it can regenerate power off the wheels into the battery, and how much it actually needs to physically stop the wheels on the brakes.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of...
Because there's all this regen stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're doing lift and coast as well.
Yeah, to get more energy in to the batteries. It's very odd.
It is really weird. Have you seen all the super clipping on boards?
Yeah.
Which is where the battery actually stops being deployed and starts harvesting while they're at full throttle.
Yeah. So
which
kind
actually
of
means
almost...
they've got their foot planted and they start slowing down and they have to downshift. It's really odd.
I know that in the first, I think, Bahrain test, Max was playing around with when he gear shifts and keeping the revs up and shifting earlier to keep higher revs and stuff like that to keep the battery charged, which is...
Yeah.
I mean, I think we should talk about this now. I kind of get it, but I mean, I'm not quite a boomer, but I'm nearly there.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are like, oh, I remember when, men with moustaches and goggles and leather helmets would get in a petrol-driven car and just plant their right foot and throw it around corners and just try and hold on by skill and judgment.
Yeah.
And now we're into, as you say, super clipping and battery regen and where do you deploy the battery and movable aero and...
Yeah.
I think actually, I don't think it's this set of regulations. I think ground effect in 22 kind of started down that path.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of that going on then, wasn't there? And tyre management and stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of management stuff. Because electric... I mean, it was even before the turbo hybrids. They had KERS, didn't they?
Yeah,
which was literally
you're right.
Kind of like a hybrid system. So that's been around since 2010 or something.
I think it's 2006. I think it's... Somebody said it's 7 or 8. It's nearly 20 years of regenerating batteries. So it's evolved rather than actually...
But that's also, it's 2009... But back then it was 80 horsepower's worth. But now it's I think it's pretty much half the power from the...
I think that's the rules, it's 50% of the power.
Yeah, from the total power train, which consists of an ICE and a MGU or something, whatever it is,
Yeah.
a hybrid unit.
MGUK, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, qualifying, the only 3 people set a time. Alonso, Perez and Bottas all dropped out in the first round. And Sainz, Verstappen and Stroll didn't even set times.
Which is kind of expected, I guess, with like the first laps of a new regulation, things are going to go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So, whatever.
I mean, I saw an interview with Adrian Newey. I think it was pre-qualifying. And he said, oh yeah, we came to this weekend with 4 battery packs for our 2 cars. And now we've got 2 left.
Yeah.
So literally before qualifying they had a battery pack in each car. And if that went, they were just like, the weekend's over.
I think I saw clickbait headlines saying that they went into it planning to retire to like save parts and just use it as a testing session. Yeah,
and also, I mean, there's been a lot of clickbaity headlines about how they might apply to the FIA to miss 3 or 4 races altogether.
God.
Because there's also the health and safety aspect. I think during testing, Max said he would happily do 20 or 25 laps, but then he'd get what's called white finger.
Vibration.
Which is an industrial injury from the vibration. But Lance was down to, I think, 10 or 15 because he's knackered his wrists already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he had like a crash and he had to get surgery on his wrist.
Yeah, I think it started with a bicycle accident when he was mountain biking and he broke both of them.
Yeah, and then I think he had like surgery on one, let the other one heal naturally, but then he had a crash or something and it aggravated the one that he hadn't had fixed.
Yeah.
So he missed a race or 2.
I'm actually now looking at Planet F1 because I did a search, which I've never done before, for Lance Stroll wrists. Yeah, it's been going on since 2023. Yeah, it was a cycling accident before the 2023 season began.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thought he might have to miss a few races at the beginning. So yeah, his wrists are, and obviously, if you've got extreme vibration, all the nerves and everything for your fingers go through your wrists, so...
Yeah, it's not good, really. It's a bit like the back problems they were all complaining about with the ground effect porpoising initially.
Yeah, I think Max said he couldn't have done many more seasons of that.
I think Lewis really struggled with it as well at first.
I mean, Lewis struggled with the drivability bit, but the fact that Max won over half of the ground effect races.
I'm sure I think it was Baku, one of the first, maybe 2022 or 3, that Hamilton actually almost had to get helped out of his car because his back was hurting so much. Because obviously there's that really long straight, you're just bouncing all the way down.
Yeah.
And they're the top level athletes as well, so...
Yeah, and the fact that Max didn't like it, where in actual fact he was winning.
Yeah.
He won over half the races, but...
He probably also was just bored at a certain point. I think 2023, as much as it was like the greatest season of all time, he probably didn't enjoy it that much.
No. He did an interview and they asked him again what he thought of the new regulations. Have you heard what he said?
No.
He basically said, I don't care. I'm bored of this conversation. He said, look, you give me a car with regulations, I will try to extract the maximum out of it, get it to go as fast as I can and score as many points as I can. He said, you could give me a shopping trolley and I would do the same.
Yeah.
Which is
quite quick, actually.
100% pure racer mentality.
Yeah.
It's like, if I'm on the same regs as everybody else, I'll try and go faster than everybody else.
I mean, that is kind of the best way to think about it, really. It's not like, these cars are so annoying and they're like, whatever.
And that's borne out by the fact that he's been doing endurance racing and sim racing. It's just like, give me a formula and I will...
Oh, yeah, I saw... Someone asked him, would you like to take an F1 car around the Nürburgring?
Yeah.
And his response was, they wouldn't let me. Which means he asked.
Also, he would ruin it. Nürburgring is not flat like an F1 track.
It's not even close to grade 1.
No.
They'd probably have to put special tyres on it and run it quite high.
Yeah.
Which means it probably wouldn't actually be that fast. It'd probably be about as fast as like an average hypercar.
If that, yeah.
Not like a dedicated ring car, like a set up for it.
Yeah. I'm looking at qualifying 2 was probably the most representative and average.
Yeah. So
we had, from 10th downwards, we had Bortoletto and Hulkenberg. The Audis, actually, considering they were basically a new team, doing really well. Behrman and Ocon, the two Hasses. That's actually, I think that's really encouraging for Haas.
Yeah.
And then Gasly. I think Alpine expected to be faster because they've got the Mercedes engine this year.
Yeah. And same for Williams, I guess.
Albon in the lone Williams, and then Colapinto in the Alpine. So I think those three,
that's
Albon
like
and Colapinto.
That's like a Q2 that you'd expect to see last year. You just go, yeah.
But I mean, I think they were aiming for better than 14, 15 and 16.
Yeah. Bortoletto got through to Q3, did he? I don't think he set a
no,
lap.
Oh yeah, he did.
He didn't set a lap in Q3. I don't know why.
I think it was a mechanical problem, or it may be that they thought that 10 was about as good as they could get.
Yeah, and they maybe wanted to save parts and
save tyres
and save wear, because although he would have came 9th if he'd done a similar time, because Lindblad, as much as he got through to Q3 on his debut, which is very good, he did go a lot slower on his Q3 run.
Yeah, something must have got in the way, or
I think made a mistake, or he just misjudged the battery again. That could probably contribute to a second lap if you just mistime your regen and don't have enough to get over the line.
Also, you have a choice of when to deploy. So you basically, somebody, one of the top drivers, it was Norris or Verstappen or somebody, said, it's like playing Mario Kart. You get a mushroom and then you choose when to press the button.
I'm pretty sure that was Max. I think I remember that.
Yeah.
I think he said, I've swapped out my simulator, I've got a Switch now, and I play Mario Kart instead because it's more accurate.
So we had a Mercedes front row lockout, which, to be honest, since the Barcelona shakedown and the compression ratio thing, people were kind of predicting.
Yeah.
Hadjar, as I said, doing his job, stuck it on 3rd.
Actually doing, to be honest, an amazing job.
Yeah.
Because you can say, he outqualified Verstappen because Verstappen crashed.
Yeah.
But, assuming Verstappen's in that session, he still would have been 4th right behind him. He maybe even would have beaten him.
Dodgy statistics time.
Yes.
Hadjar's 100% record of outqualifying Max Verstappen.
Does he?
Yeah.
As of the...
well, we're talking about Australia. I'm not going to dive into China because then it'll just make my brain hurt.
Well, let's say Grand Prix qualifying then.
Yeah.
But yes.
That's an impressive record.
It is.
And also epically meaningless.
Well, it is quite significant though that he came 3rd.
Yeah, and that is, when we've looked at Tsunoda, qualifying, a fairly average qualifying for 25 for Tsunoda would be anywhere from 11th or 12th down to 16th.
Yeah. And even Perez towards the end wasn't really there.
No, so having Hadjar on the 2nd row, if Max hadn't spun out, he would have been somewhere around Max to kind of help with the strategy, block cars.
Yeah, exactly where he needs to be.
Yeah.
I think it might be something to do with the fact that they got rid of Christian Horner. And so this is the first... Hadjar went into that team with just Laurent Mekies and not Horner at all.
So I wonder if...
Yeah.
Because we've always assumed that Max kind of psychologically demoralises his teammates, but it might have been Horner.
Maybe, because I think, Ricciardo could match him, but he still left for Renault, and I think that's because Horner wanted it to be Max's team, and he maybe kind of picked up on that.
Yeah, people like Ricciardo and Webber. Webber was a few points off being world champion.
Yeah.
In Red Bull.
But he's still got... But anyway, good job. He's at Hadjar.
Yeah, Leclerc was 4th, filling out the 2nd row.
That's kind of where you expect to see him, unfortunately.
Yeah, but also it's like we say, 8/10 off the lead.
Well, there's this big, both Mercedes were the only ones in the 118s.
Yeah.
Russell was in the 118s in Q2, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, Russell absolutely loves that car, and really...
And he was always a good qualifier. Like, he used to be called Mr. Saturday when he was at Williams.
I've still heard that this year.
I think, they're bringing it back, aren't they? But it's like 0.3 between Russell and Antonelli, which is fair. And then what's that? Half a second from Antonelli back to Hadjar, and nearly a whole second from Russell to the next non-Mercedes car.
Yeah.
But then they're all quite tightly clustered, actually.
They're all in the 19.3s from Hadjar.
It's not even 2 seconds from Hadjar all the way back down to Hamilton.
0.2.
Yeah, sorry, 0.2.
Yeah, so it goes Leclerc, Piastri faster than Norris, Hamilton. And we're not used to having this kind of 7 in the top, because we're not used to the second Red Bull car actually being up there.
Yeah, but of course, there is still a Red Bull missing, it's just the wrong one.
Yeah. And then the two Racing Bulls actually looking very, racy, to be honest. Lawson and Lindblad.
And pretty good for Lindblad to actually match Lawson, at least in terms of position.
Lindblad is the first Formula One driver with Indian heritage, by the way.
Really?
His grandparents left the India-Pakistan region during partition in the mid to late 40s. Having just said that, I realise I don't know the date, but after the Second World War, they partitioned India and Pakistan, and it was a very traumatic time, and his grandparents came over here.
Yes.
And had his mother, and his mother then married a Swedish person.
Yeah.
Mr. Lindblad. But yeah, his grandparents and his mum are Indian. That's why he's called Arvid.
What about Karun Chandok?
Oh, was he a racing driver?
Yeah, he's F1 driver. He did 11 Grand Prix.
Oh.
He scored no points.
Maybe they were saying something like British Indian then.
Yeah, and Karun Chandok is just Indian. Born in India to Indian parents.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there's been others, Karthikeyan was also Indian.
They must have said British Indian then.
Anyway.
And then Bortoletto, as you said, rounded out the top 10.
Well, it might be the first to score points, because neither Karthikeyan or Karun Chandok ever scored points.
Yeah?
I'm trying to think if there's... Yeah, they're the only two Indian... Sorry.
Another extremely dodgy stretching the statistics thing that they said, and I actually had to go and look it up.
Yeah.
Cadillac are the most tattooed luxury car maker.
The most tattooed?
Yeah. More people have tattoos of them. Their, logo or their words or whatever.
Right.
And I thought, why did they say luxury? That's such a weird kind of qualifier. So I looked it up, and there was a survey done, and of course, VW won by a country mile.
Right.
More people have Volkswagen tattoos, whether it's the VW logo or a Beetle or a bus or something.
Oh yeah, of course, the camper vans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it. Hippie symbols.
Yeah, and there's I can't remember the survey size, but that was 13,000. And then there was a little cluster around 3,000 to 4,000, so it's that much difference of, I think, Pontiac, Jeep and Cadillac.
Yeah.
Because I heard that and I thought, well, why did they qualify it so heavily? What was the actual...
Yeah, what's the actual data?
Yeah. So, right, I'm looking at the starting grid. They obviously, I think they kind of retired and replaced parts for various odd reasons. The back of the grid was Stroll in 22nd, first time we said that.
Yes.
Sainz in 21st and then Verstappen in 20th.
Probably the first time we said Verstappen in 20th for a while as well.
No, I think Brazil last year he was back of the grid.
Was he actually 20th?
I think. Or did he get up to 16th with weird penalties and stuff?
I thought he was 17th, but I don't know.
Oh, Bottas is 19th, because the
we
grid
had
slot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the grid slot penalty he picked up in his final race expires after 12 months.
Oh. So all those clickbait headlines that said he'd still get penalised.
Nope, expires after 12 months. It's in the FIA rules.
Oh, okay. That's kind of an anticlimax.
It really is, isn't it?
That also means that Jenson Button's penalty for punting into Verline at Monaco is also expired.
Oh, yeah.
That was
gone.
That was nearly 10 years ago now.
Yeah. I mean, unless they reenact the F1 movie, I don't think we're going to see Button coming back.
No. I think he's fully retired from all motorsport now.
Yeah, he has. And aside from that, the starting grid was, well, we just talked about it in qualifying.
Yeah.
There were no other surprises or change of parts or anything.
Yeah. But then going from the pits to the grid...
Oh, yeah.
Piastri just, binned it.
Now, yeah. Hulkenberg never made it out of the pit lane. He had mechanical problems.
Yeah.
Because I woke up pretty much bang on 4 a.m. and I hold my hands up here. I found the ultimate lazy life hack. I had Now TV on my phone, so I could just lie there in bed.
Yeah, watch the
fire
stuff.
it up and yeah. But I kind of fired it up, and luckily my other half was next to me, and they said they had the BBC live feed up, so between the two of us we could get it. And I was just like, "What's going on? Piastri's just not even there."
Yeah.
But he said, "No, I don't get this." He said he went into a corner that he normally goes into, clipped the curb, but when he put his right foot down, he actually said 100 horsepower over what the limit was.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He said 100 horsepower more than full throttle, which... So
I think it was a deployment issue of some kind.
Like it dumped all the battery power when he wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, I think that's probably what happened. It was like a spike, and it just suddenly went, and he spun out.
Again, this comes back to what I was saying about boomers and looking back to even the 70s of racing. You know, you push down on the throttle, you pull a cable, that opens, opens up some carburetors or some fuel injection, and the car goes faster.
Yeah.
And now you push down on it, and the computer thinks, "Oh, how much should I drain out of the battery? How much should I give more fuel to the engine and spin up the revs?"
Yeah, I can understand why that's concerning, I guess.
But as you say, this is not, "Oh yeah, we had pure racing in 25 and now it's all wrong in 26. It's been an evolution.
Yeah.
It's been gradually coming. I think the big difference is, like you say, it's 50% of power now. Yeah. Whereas before it was a bit of a boost.
But now it's like managing the deployment is as important as pressing the throttle to go forwards.
Yeah.
But it was like that.
And I think
there was that Monaco Grand Prix where Ricciardo lost his battery, but he'd still finish the race. But if that happened today, I think they'd have to retire because it would have literally half the power. It wouldn't be able to get away.
Yeah, and this is what we've been saying about the starts. You don't get battery power until you're doing 50 kph, which is about 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So the actual initial start is done at half power, then suddenly it kicks up to full power, probably in a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
I mean, I dread to think what the 0 to 30 times are.
Probably quite quick.
Yeah.
For an F1 car.
Yeah, we saw, again, as we predicted, the Ferraris absolutely flew off the line.
Yeah, it was kind of almost worth getting up early to watch that, because it was
definitely.
that had been one of the big we saw there was that footage from testing where Hamilton started in 11th and ended up in first by the first corner.
Yeah,
and it's is that real? But it kind of
is
actually. Yeah,
I mean Leclerc went from fourth to first.
Yes, and Hamilton went from 7th to 3rd.
But if you actually watch Hamilton's onboard, because they did a lot of replays when it kind of calmed down,
Yeah.
Hamilton only dropped to third because he kind of got blocked by the back of George Russell.
Yeah, he would have been second.
So he started seventh and ended up behind the pole sitter.
Yeah, by the first corner as well, not like the end of the first lap. It was utterly ridiculous.
And I think we had 12 laps of Leclerc and Russell just trading the lead.
Yes.
Apparently, and again, this is where we're going to come back to this question again, and to be fair, I did get a bit fed up of them continually mentioning deployment in the commentary. But apparently, Racing Statistics, who I really trust as a website, said that on the straights, Russell was 49 kph faster than Leclerc.
Oof.
But the reason why he didn't just pull away and pull out a huge lead is because he was a bit, there's a word for it, a bit kind of reckless, and he would drain his battery in the first half of the lap. And Leclerc was choosing how to deploy, more able to defend towards the end of the lap.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just out and out speed, it was kind of race intelligence in a way.
Yeah, which is going to be kind of the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, for all we've been criticising the new rules, the first 10, 12 laps where Russell and Leclerc were wheel to wheel,
and there were
moving around.
There were the moments where one of them would suddenly pull away hugely, and you think, oh my god, what's happened? But then he'd have to recover, and then Leclerc would just sneak back past him, and it's like, that's the key.
And do you know what two words we didn't hear in the whole commentary?
What?
From lights to flag.
What?
DRS train.
Well, that's because DRS doesn't exist anymore.
But also, it didn't happen.
I don't think there were any actual trains. I'm not sure. It seemed like there was quite a lot of good fighting all the way through. The actual racing was awesome.
Yeah.
To be fair.
I was thinking about this morning before we did the podcast. I think it was Singapore 23, where Sainz backed Norris into Verstappen to stop Verstappen overtaking both of them.
Yes.
I think that was probably the point at which the FIA looked at the regs and went, we got to change this.
Yeah, so that to give Norris the DRS. DRS baiting him.
Sainz kept Norris about 0.8 of a second behind, because behind both of them was Max Verstappen, and Max's Red Bull was 2023, so Max's Red Bull was way faster than both of them.
Yeah.
But Sainz knew that if he kept Norris within a second, Norris wouldn't be able to overtake him, but it would give Norris the straight line speed to keep Max at bay and let them both stay ahead of him.
Yeah, which is again that kind of high racing IQ.
Yeah, I think in terms of racecraft, it was absolutely brilliant.
But do you think the FIA thought this isn't what we want from racing?
No, it is a bit kind of artificial as well.
Yeah.
And especially I think in 24 and 25, you'll see, even from as high up as 5 and 6 backwards, these huge trains of cars within 1 second of each other, and nobody could overtake anybody else.
Yeah, it got a lot worse towards the end of the recent regs.
Yeah.
Whenever, again, all the gaps were so small that DRS and a slipstream wasn't enough anymore.
Yeah, and you think you had to have something like 2.5 seconds per lap to actually make an overtake. Like, difference between your lap time and the person in front.
Yeah. I think I saw a statistic. The 2026... So in 2025, the most overtakes of any race, I think it was 60.
Yeah.
Guess how many there were in the Australian Grand Prix?
Oh, I have no idea.
120.
Oh, wow. I mean, it was properly all over the place.
It was pretty awesome. Again, the first 10 laps was just like kind of amazing.
So, what happened then? Lap 10, Hadjar retired, I think, with a power unit problem.
Yeah, it just blew up, which is kind of very sad. He did lose out a bit to the Ferraris. But he was also...
got jumped.
I think Antonelli lost out quite a bit. And I think he was battling Antonelli, which is pretty decent.
Yeah, I think for a long time it was Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton, and then Antonelli, Hadjar.
Yeah.
But yeah, when... I think, did they call out a virtual safety car, didn't they?
Yes. It was only ever there were like 2 virtual safety cars.
Yeah, and Mercedes decided to pit. I think they pitted both their cars, didn't they? Because Antonelli was quite a way back by then.
Yes. I need to. Can I see pit stop summary?
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Yeah, lap
as well.
11. Everybody pitted.
Apart from the Ferraris.
Yeah, same lap they pitted.
Yeah, laps 11 and 12 were under the virtual safety car, and about half the field pitted.
Yeah.
Almost exactly half the field, actually.
But the Ferrari stayed out.
I think, actually, Lewis came on the radio and said, "You should have stopped one of us."
Yeah, that's
Which,
true.
again, is racecraft, because they were close enough, I think, that a double stack wouldn't have gained them as much. I think a double stack would have lost the back car as much as a regular pit stop.
Yeah. So they needed to offset it, so you may as well have done one anyway.
Yeah, but that was then like 46 laps for the Mercedes to go on the hard tyre.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I can see Ferrari's point of like stick to the plan.
Yeah, I think they assumed the Mercedes would need to pit again, but they just didn't.
Well, part of the problem was because they then pitted, I think, that was lap 12. I think they pitted in the 20s.
Yeah, 25.
And then 28 for Hamilton.
Yeah.
And that put them so far back that they weren't pressuring the Mercedes. So the Mercedes could lift off on the pace. And then run their own pace to nurse the tyres, basically. I think if they pitted either Leclerc or Hamilton, I think a virtual safety car pit stop saved you about 10, 11 seconds over a regular one.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the final times. They would have been 5 or 6 seconds, so they would have been 2 or 3 seconds behind Antonelli.
So the other thing is, there was a VSC on lap 16 because Bottas broke down.
Yeah.
But he broke down by the pit entry. So
yeah.
they closed the pit lane. So Ferrari could have taken that pit stop, and that would have kind of nullified the Mercedes' advantage. But they couldn't.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, they ended up having to go with their normal one stop, but then the Mercedes had been in clear air and they just were faster.
I think they assumed with the track being a street track and being quite hard on tyres, I think they assumed there'd be a lot more two-stop strategies out there than there were.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Lance Stroll had 4 pit stops, and I think he was running 10 laps behind at one point because Aston Martin just needed the data.
Yeah, 15 laps down. And he had a 1,173 second pit stop.
Yeah.
Which is about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is quite
kind of bizarre.
Oh, he had a 70-second pit stop earlier. I think their car just wasn't working.
No, and they were gathering data.
He ended up 15 laps down, and he basically wasn't classified, I think.
Yeah, it was a mess. I mean, the highest up drivers were Norris and Verstappen to run a 2-stop strategy.
Hmm.
And they both ended up, 51 and 54 seconds off the pace.
To be fair, Verstappen did start last.
Yeah.
So obviously he's still got his kind of pace.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the result and I'm really thinking it's going to be a Mercedes-Ferrari fight in the opening few races.
Yeah.
I think McLaren are getting there, but I think Red Bull have got an awful lot to do.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, weirdly, I think they're missing Adrian Newey, which is a weird thing to say because the Aston Martin is in really bad shape.
Yeah, that's not really Adrian Newey's fault, though.
No, it's a Honda problem at the moment.
Yeah. But it definitely looks like Mercedes versus Ferrari. Which is kind of just back to 2014 again, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, the other weird thing I thought is, since 2010,
Yeah.
with the sole exception of Rosberg, who retired as world champion, we've kind of had blocks of world champions. We've had Vettel get 4, Hamilton get 2, then 4, Max get 4.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, I mean, it's way too early to tell, but is Norris going to be like one of those one world champion and then not? You know, we're going to go back to a bit more to a kind of broken up Norris, then Russell, then maybe Hamilton or Leclerc.
Yeah. I think that's probably likely.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's unlikely that Norris wins this championship, unfortunately.
Well, it's only one race in, and he did.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, McLaren could come through with, like, an insane rear wing that gives them, like, 5 seconds a lap.
Yeah.
It's not
Apparently,
possible.
Ferrari haven't been running the flip-flop wing yet.
Well, not in Australia. But
No, they said
I can peer into the future and see that they will be running it in China.
No, they ran it in FP1 and said it wasn't reliable enough and went back to the standard one.
Ah, okay.
But without peering into the future,
Yeah.
the other interesting thing about the new regs is you've got movable front wings.
Yeah, so it's... And they can activate both of them at any time on the track. I think they have, like, safe zones, but you don't have to be close to another car. It's just permanently active arrow.
But under the previous regs, if somebody tangled and ripped up their front wing, it'd be like a 16-second pit stop.
Oh yeah, they were saying this. They got to attach. They got to attach all the cables and stuff to make it work.
I mean, there are in like rallying world and stuff like that. There are quick connectors. You can actually have quick lock connectors for things like brakes that keep the pressure up. So you can just literally unplug them, plug in a new braking component, and you don't have to re-bleed them. And the same for like fuel and electricity and stuff. I'd imagine
they'll come up with something in F1.
Well, they have already, but there are different approaches.
Yeah.
Whether it's there, so when you put it in, it just automatically connects because it lines up, or whether you get a tech just going quick, plug in the electrics, or whether it's a hydraulics line or something like that.
But you got to unplug it as well. It just takes a bit of extra time.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a nose cone change yet, all the way through the Australia weekend.
No, I don't think so. But they were saying it will take longer to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, after that Hadra pit stop window with the safety car,
yeah,
it kind of settled down as a race because the Ferraris dropped back from competitiveness, really, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then Norris and Verstappen in 5th and 6th did a 2-stop. And then everybody back from there, Behrman, Lindblad, Bortoletto and Gasly in the points were all lapped. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking if one of the Ferraris had taken it, they would have been 5 or 6 seconds behind Russell and actually barely 2 seconds behind, 2 to 3 behind Antonelli, which would have stopped the Mercedes from being able to manage it so well.
Yeah.
Mercedes wouldn't have just been able to go, oh, we'll just lift off, oh, your front tyre's graining a bit, let's just take it easy. Because they won by 15 seconds, 16 seconds.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a classic what if with strategy. You know, if there'd been a bit more of a push, would they have had to up there? Because they wouldn't, you know, anything could happen and you don't really want to let somebody get within probably 4 or 5 seconds, to be honest.
No, yeah.
So they would have had...
It was just a strategy thing.
Yeah. And like I say, nobody knew. All the predictions were a 2-stop, and especially stopping on lap 10 or 12, I think it was. You would have thought the Mercedes would have had to have stopped again.
Yeah. But...
Which again, with a 23-second stop, would have put the Ferrari 7 or 8 seconds out in the lead.
Yeah. They were very, very kind on the tyres, the Mercedes is.
Yeah, and I think that was because, like I say, they didn't have pressure.
Yeah, because of the strategy. So it's not... Thing is, as well, when Leclerc got tangling with Russell, he was able to hold him off. It was only because Russell pitted under the VSC that they disconnected. Like, Russell, I don't think, really stayed ahead of him.
Yeah, it was... It was a very fair fight.
So I don't think it's all like... I don't think the Mercedes are going to run away with it. I think if Ferrari can get their strategy together, they can actually challenge them.
Isn't that what people have been saying since 2010?
2000, like probably 1979 to be honest.
Yeah. The other thing is, in 2025, only one driver took the checker flag in all 24 races.
Piastri?
George Russell.
Oh.
No, Piastri stuffed it in Singapore.
Oh god, yeah. No, what's it called?
Baku?
Yeah.
No,
Maybe
Russell.
I think it was the previous year that Piastri did it.
Yeah, Russell was
24.
the only one. And given that he stepped up to that kind of race leader role really efficiently.
And he's bedded into Mercedes properly now for like... Oh, it's been like 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, I think it's 22 he came over, wasn't it?
Yeah.
22, 23.
Yeah, because 2021, yeah.
This is his 5th year there.
I think you were saying that Russell can be very dangerous if he's got the right car.
Yeah, it's not just me, apparently.
Hmm?
People who have money on this, bookkeepers,
Yes.
Russell is got the lowest odds for being world champion this year.
He did even before testing, and I was like... I remember thinking, that's a bit early to say. But yeah, they were right.
Well, no, also, it might be early, but, they've got money on it. If people are placing bets, they're going to have to make a profit.
Yeah.
So much more than us just sitting there and watching it on a Sunday afternoon and talking about it the next week. They've probably got millions, if not billions, invested in it. Betting is a very big market.
Yes.
And, yeah, I think it's quite significant. I mean, obviously, they're not always right. It never happens.
No.
But I think it's a very big indicator that... Yeah, I think Russell is the one to watch.
Well, I think he's currently the favourite, which is maybe not actually a great position to be in this early on, because it's kind of his to lose now, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's not a rookie.
No, but he's also never actually challenged for the championship. This is the first time he's ever led it.
Yeah,
I think the highest he's ever finished is like 5th or something.
Yeah, I mean,
we saw with Norris in 2024 that you had to have that like failed attempt first.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that'll happen with George. I'm just saying that might be something to consider. Is he going to let it like mind games get to him or something?
I mean, I'd say the difference is, I'm just Wikipediaing it now. He's 28, which is peak age for a racing driver.
Yeah.
He's young enough to be fit and able and not get tired. And he's old enough to be wise.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had 100 and... It says 154, 153, because we are in the middle of a...
Yeah. It's...
China. But yeah, he's had over 150 race starts. He's had 22, 23. He had 3 years as the kind of wingman at Mercedes, and he's had 1 year as the lead driver, so...
That was his 6th race win, I think.
Yeah. So he has the experience and the team behind him.
Yeah.
Although actually, yeah, you're right, he came up at the same time as Norris.
Yeah,
but Norris is 2 years younger, so...
Yeah. I'm definitely saying he can win it, for sure. It's just it might not be, like, effortless.
No, the one criticism I've seen of Russell is that he tends to complain if people race him.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, he came on the radio when, like, Charles Leclerc made a late move and said, "Oh, that's dangerous," and it's just like, it's kind of actually called racing.
Thing is Leclerc got used to, like, racing Verstappen.
Yeah.
So, like, if Leclerc did that to Verstappen would go, "Good one. Now here's what I can do." Whereas I think George is he can get a bit kind of agitated.
Yeah, and he likes to report things to the stewards as well.
Yeah, kind of a favourite move.
But
yeah.
I think I said this in pre-season testing. I think this is the last chance for Ferrari with Leclerc.
Yeah, because he's not even got a contract next year.
And I've seen rumours that his agent has already been seen in other people's motorhomes.
Yeah.
So I think Leclerc needs to finish top 3 in the championship and needs to have a chance of winning it down to preferably the last race. Definitely the last 2 or 3 races.
Get a couple victories as well.
Yeah.
To be fair, they do look a lot better than they did last year.
Oh, yeah.
Seems like pace-wise they're about the second fastest team.
And actually, that's without the fancy rear wing.
Yeah, if they can work that out, get more used to the cars and the deployment and everything, with their starts as well. If they can get their sort of post-start strategy down.
Yeah. I've heard that there's a guy from, I can't remember his name, and it's not out there at the moment. There's an engineer from Red Bull who's on gardening leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Lewis Hamilton wants him as his race engineer.
I thought it was McLaren.
Oh, it might be McLaren. I know he's on gardening leave and Lewis is after him as race engineer, so...
Yes.
They are a bit in-betweeny at the moment. And again, with Hamilton, it was like, it's Ferrari strategy again. It's like, well, we should pit. Or it's having that kind of dynamic strategy they're lacking.
Yeah.
Where when there's a virtual safety car, they've literally got under 60 seconds to go, okay, we'll split strategy, we'll take a chance with this one, and we'll keep on strategy with that one.
Yeah.
It kind of requires bravery and trust in your engineers, I think.
Yes.
You know, the guy on the pit wall needs to go, I'm going to make a call now. And just trust that the people higher up will have faith in him and that he won't get in trouble if it doesn't play off.
Hmm.
I mean, I saw an interview, I think it was in testing with James Vowles, where they were talking about Williams and the fact that they got to 5th in the championship. And James said, look, we're here to win championships. Yes. And to do that, you need to take risks. You need to try things that will not work. And you have to accept, and you have to go back to your owners and your backers and basically the venture capital company and say, we might go backwards.
Yeah.
We might not be 5th this year because we need to, if we play it safe and we just have a car that we know is good for 5th, we'll be 5th.
Yeah.
But if we take chances, we could be 1st, 2nd, or we could be 8th or 9th.
Mm.
And I think that's what Ferrari are lacking. I think they're very conservative. I think they need to
they don't want change or anything.
Yeah. They need to take risks.
So, I had a look.
Yeah.
Some say that it's Hamilton's new race engineer will be Cedric Michel Grosjean.
Yeah.
Who used to be Piastri's race engineer.
Oh, okay.
At McLaren. But I think he's on gardening leave.
Yeah, that sounds about right, and which is a bit of a shame for him because it means he had Adami last year who he didn't go on with. He's now got one, I think, temporary till April, I think.
Yeah, Carlos Santi.
Yep.
It seems like he was getting on a bit better with him this race.
Yeah.
They were still broadcasting stuff which they were trying to make it seem like he was having problems, but I don't think so.
Well, that's the world of Drive to Survive Netflix.
Yeah, it was like, I think he said 10 laps to go. Here's the gap, and Lewis just said, "Leave me to it, thanks."
Which to be fair,
that's a perfectly reasonable thing to say.
Max has done it. Raikkonen's done it.
Oh yeah, when Raikkonen says, "Leave me alone, I know what I'm doing," it's funny and it's awesome, but
yeah,
somehow I think it's perfectly normal, especially because it seems like he actually did shut up.
Yeah, I'm sure Alonso's done it.
I think every driver on the grid at some point has told their engineer to can it. Well, at least once.
I'm looking ahead at the schedule because I think we've pretty much covered Australia, haven't we?
Well, do we want to go a bit further down the grid?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay then.
Behrman in 7th is actually quite interesting.
And Lindblad in 8th is an awesome start.
Yeah, Lindblad in 8th made up, I think, on probably Piastri DNSing.
But, I mean, however he did it, debut race.
Points
in
4
debut
points.
Race.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And he kind of smashed Lawson. Lawson had a pretty rough start, I think.
Yeah, I think Lawson got quite heavily mugged at the start.
I think it was a battery. It's always going to be a battery issue. But I want to see. I might want to go and look for Behrman's on board to see if his start was any good, because he's got a Ferrari engine.
Yeah. Well, they got up to 7th and 11th, the Haas.
Yeah, it's good for them.
Yeah.
Also, did you see the start?
Yeah.
With Colapinto?
No.
So Colapinto had a start. Started the race.
Yeah.
I think it was Lawson was basically stationary ahead of him.
Yeah.
So Colapinto, I think he was following Gasly, and then a bunch of cars got out of the way, and Lawson was like stalling or like not quite getting away.
Yeah.
But it happened, it was one of those classic situations where there's a car in front of you that gets out the way, and suddenly there's like what did for Billy Monger.
Yeah.
But Colapinto was literally like an inch away from a massive crash, but he actually saved it.
Wow.
But if you look, it's actually like there's no space between the tyres at all.
That's terrifying. I mean, it was also the Le Mans crash in 1955? 56? Where 90 people died in the audience. That was exactly the same 3-car problem. Where there's a slow car, the first fast car goes round it and exposes the slow car to the car at the back.
Yeah, it is kind of a classic crash.
It is the biggest danger for racing at the moment.
And it's a big problem with these cars because there can be such a big speed differential.
Yeah.
Especially on the start, if one of you gets up to 50 kph quicker than another one. I think that's what happened to Lawson.
Yeah.
Then it can be quite bad. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't, but also it might prompt them to kind of think about how they do things.
Or even if just one car is super clipping and the other one is deploying full battery.
I'm just looking at the start. I think Behrman actually made up all the places on the start. Because he ends up behind like Lindblad and Antonelli initially.
Because they were down 12th and 13th when they qualified.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of potential in Haas as well.
I think Audi are still... No, they're not, are they? They're not using the... Are they using Ferrari power units?
I'm not sure.
Let me check.
I know they're not using an Audi engine yet, but it is their... It's their ongoing goal to develop their own.
Yeah. There might already be. I think it's Cadillac who wants to be their own engine supplier as well.
I think Audi do as well, yeah.
But I think they might already be there.
I mean, it's kind of weird when you get a car company like Audi or Cadillac who have road cars and they're not using their road car engines, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, with Alpine as well.
Yeah.
Like, Renault Power used to be quite a prestigious thing. But yeah, they've Audi just built their own engine.
So that's an Audi engine?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
and they're up in the points as well, like you said.
It's Audi. It's basically the representative of the VW group in F1.
Yeah, it's Volkswagen Audi group, isn't it? PAG.
Yeah, but they're not one of the biggest car companies in the world.
Well, our on about Volkswagen Audi group and General Motors that owns Cadillac.
Oh yeah. And then I don't know which. I think Fiat's pretty big. Oh, Fiat owns Ferrari.
Yeah.
Well, there you go then.
Fiat is part of a huge conglomerate as well.
What about
Audi got 2 points, given that they didn't even get Hülkenberg off the line. It's pretty good.
Is that Bortoletto? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bortoletto is pretty good.
And we're starting to see the kind of, like you say, the real potential of Lindblad, Bortoletto, Colapinto.
Yeah, because this is their second season, really.
Apart from Lindblad, yeah.
Yeah, but that's a pretty good start for Lindblad.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. And then Cadillac. Perez finished the race.
Yeah.
Which is better than Aston Martin did, so...
And to be honest, first ever race for a team. We were talking about this actually. 'Cause I've got a spreadsheet of all the teams. Cadillac, and I cannot remember the last time. It must be 10 or 15 years. Didn't buy somebody else's entry because quite often, like Audi bought into Sauber.
Yeah.
Aston Martin bought into, I can't remember who. Racing Point?
It was Racing Point, yeah.
Red Bull were Jaguar. So they buy somebody else's entry. They buy actually somebody else's factory, wind tunnel, team, that kind of structure.
Yes.
And the first time we can remember,
Yeah. Well,
Cadillac actually went from scratch. Look, here's an empty industrial unit. We're going to make an F1 team. That kind of.
so Haas did technically submit a new entry when they joined in 2016, yeah.
Yeah.
But they also bought Marussia.
I was going to say, it's that whole Manor, Marussia, Haas mess.
They bought all of their assets, which means their factory, their headquarters, their old bits. So they kind of took over the team, but they did technically
Start a new entry.
Yeah, so they're not legally according to the FIA, they're not an evolution of Marussia. But in practice, they kind of are. Like, people who are working there would have been the same.
So to actually get Sergio Perez to take the not take the checker flag, it was 3 laps down, but
To finish the race without breaking down.
yeah.
It's pretty good.
Bottas made it to lap 15.
Yeah, it broke down. But to be fair, so did Hadjar, so it's not
Yeah.
necessarily indicative of that, of anything.
I think Red Bull what were the top 4. I think Red Bull have got the most work to do.
So what's your prediction for the constructors then?
I think a very tight fight between Ferrari and Mercedes. I think McLaren at the current status will lock in third.
Well, it could
I mean,
even
really,
be
we can't say because it's a development race now.
Yeah, and it is looking like what it is now, which is Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull. It just depends how close they are to each other.
I think Red Bull might do that weird thing where they're just a lonely four. I don't think anybody will challenge them, but I'm not sure they can come up to the top 3.
Yeah, but they could develop.
Well, yeah, like I say.
We truly don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
I'm looking at the schedule.
Yes.
We are now on the 13th of March.
Yes.
In theory, they should be in Bahrain on the 10th of April.
Yeah.
And Saudi Arabia on the 17th of April.
Yes.
Now, I know we don't really do politics and stuff, but we can't ignore this.
Yeah.
There is currently, Saudi and Bahrain, we've been looking at maps. They are right next door to Iran. And they are being viewed as allies of the US-Israeli airstrikes on Iran. So there are drones and missiles landing in Bahrain and Saudi at the moment.
So Iran is seeing Bahrain and Saudi as US allies.
Oh, definitely. And they are firing drones and missiles at Bahrain and Saudi.
Yeah, Bahrain's just across the Persian Gulf.
Oh, yeah.
In fairness,
Yeah.
Jeddah is literally about as far away as you can get from Iran while still being in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Obviously, that doesn't matter with like planes and drones and missiles, but
Yeah.
yeah.
There are. And also, you've got to remember that Jeddah might be far away, but Iran sponsors groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, and more critically, the Houthi rebels in Yemen.
Yeah, which is not far away from Jeddah.
No, so they could. And Hezbollah have been firing thousands of rockets. Also at British targets in Cyprus. So, yeah, the Bahrain and the Saudi Grand Prix are looking very sketchy.
It's also just getting there. Like, they've got to fly.
Yeah.
They've got to get people there. It's like, it's not they're going to blow up the circuit. It's more just like, is it safe to fly all that stuff into that place right now? And it's probably not, to be honest.
And also, to be really boring and prosaic, it's travel insurance.
Yeah.
You know,
it's going to cost a lot.
Yeah. Are you covered? You're shifting a lot of people and a lot of kit in. It's got to be insured. I know it's really dull, but...
And to be perfectly, completely honest,
Yeah.
it's only Bahrain and Jeddah. Like, if they were bombing Belgium, I'd be like, oh, we could go to Spa. It'd be probably fine because it's Spa. But like, who cares about? They're not the track-wise. They're not the best tracks.
No, but they are part of the calendar.
Given how much Bahrain has been used for testing, it'd probably be quite boring, to be honest.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that.
Wonder what they would do.
They're likely not to happen.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just looked out the window and your brother and his girlfriend just drove 2 micros in opposite directions. I think they're having a shuffle around out there.
Probably.
Yeah, so...
Well, they're in Japan after the Chinese Grand Prix.
So we've got 2 or 3 weeks to actually see what's going on.
Effectively, if they bin off Bahrain and Saudi, that's a whole month between Japan and Miami. They could probably squeeze in they could probably even go to Miami like early and do a double stacked race.
Yeah. But also it'd probably give the teams, especially looking at Cadillac and Aston Martin, a bit more development time.
Yeah, it might actually be worth having just a bit of a break.
Yeah.
Especially because the calendar has been for a while super jam packed with races.
Yeah.
Might even just be nice to give the personnel some time off.
Well, yeah.
I know it's early in the season. It's not like the summer break, but
there were rumours about Australia that Ferrari couldn't bring their full team there, and they were actually going to turn up with some of their test mechanics because getting them out of Bahrain and into Australia was going to be difficult. But I didn't hear anything more about that, so I don't know what happened.
I'm guessing it was resolved then.
Yeah, I mean the flights have been going in and out of Bahrain, so
yeah,
fingers crossed. And certainly Dubai, I think, has been having flights, so there are ways out.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to make an admission here. I'm not going to get up at I think 2 or 3 in the morning to watch the China sprint.
Well, I wasn't planning to because I finished working quite late. But then I just woke up anyway. I didn't set an alarm. My body detected that Formula 1 was happening and just woke me up at 7:30. And I was like, well, while we're here.
Yeah. I mean, qualifying for China is 7 in the morning on a Saturday, which is doable. It's not.
You could probably get up at 6 and maybe catch a sprint replay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think the racing is more important this year because of the starts and the deployment.
Yeah.
So if it was the other way around, I'd probably forget qualifying and watch the sprint. But
yeah,
I probably will watch the sprint.
Okay then. And we'll be back next week when we've caught up on sleep and talk about China.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay then. I think all that remains to say is thank you for listening. Keep supporting the podcast. I'm Graham Miller. I write murder mystery novels. Toby is Official Tibby, who has his YouTube channel, which I understand is actually going quite well, isn't it?
Yeah. I do need to make more videos, but
it's the nature of the beast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay then. We'll be back after China.
Yeah.
It's looking like we've got a few more gaps now to actually fit podcasts in and not a double header. So
is it a bit of a gap after? Yeah, it looks like 2 weeks between China and Japan, so that should be good.
And then another 2 weeks to Bahrain if it happens.
Yeah, it could be 4 weeks.
Yeah. Even we can get it done in 4 weeks.
Maybe. Anyway, yeah.
Okay then. Well, thank you for listening.
Thanks.
And goodbye.
Bye.